I have a question. Since the recession is making jobs a little scarce right now, but there are internships that are out there with various companies. I was looking the other day about some internships in Washington, and a question that I had was, how often can you, I guess, rely on taking the leap of faith and taking an internship with one of these companies, and even though they're not hiring now, they may be hiring down the road, and putting in the time there and working, an hourly wage to try and get that larger job that next upcoming year. So I was just wondering if you guys had any experience or any insight on that.
I think it's a reasonable risk to take. It's a low-cost way for companies to try potential employees out at no risk to them. I would do my research though and see what area, what industry it is, what their track record is, how their earnings have been. I do a lot of research on your end because it's a risk for you, but it's a low risk for them. But I would go ahead and pursue something like that. I think, having lived in Washington for a million years, I know 90% of getting a job in Washington is being in Washington. And you might hear of a job through a link, you might hear of a job through somebody who knows somebody else. A lot of it's hearsay, especially the best jobs. So.
And take advantage. Sewanee has amazing funding programs, and it's really not hard to apply for that stuff. So don't let get lazy and let a couple months go by. I mean, no one's going to give you that opportunity again to give you free money to go do something that you're interested in,
right.
And that could be a really valuable experience for you. So I take advantage of that.
I think most of you are probably aware of the Tanya and ACE programs, but they're wonderful programs where a grant is given to you. It's not a loan to enable you to afford to go anywhere you can get an internship. They'll help you find an internship or help fund one that you found. I'm a great fan of internships. I work for an agency that's under financial stress, as many are. It's a state agency. They don't have the money to pay you anything for an internship. And so many students say, well, I have to earn money. I'll go out and wait tables. I can't afford to take the internship. What I say is, maybe you can't afford not to take the internship, because if you land with the right supervisor, that person will take personal interest in you. You'll get a nice entry on your resume. You'll get a reference from somebody in the field. And if that person likes your work, they may actually help your career many years down the road. I just wrote a reference for somebody who was my unpaid intern on a Tanya grant 20 years ago. I got him a job teaching at a university. So you never know where that internship might be. Other questions or comments? Sorry, we missed you earlier.
Let's say there's a company that you really want to work for and you've expressed some interest, but there just aren't any positions open for you at that time. Is it worth trying to suggest maybe doing an internship or doing some unpaid work with them, or just going off and getting experience elsewhere before trying again?
I think absolutely. Whatever contact you can make in that company. A good friend of mine, his experience was wanting to work for a brokerage firm, and at that point he had not done any of his financial continuing education, but he had a contact on the inside. He said, I will mop the floor. I will do whatever it takes. I will work, unpaid in whatever area you can give me. I want to be in there. And he found his way into a paying job, but it said a couple of things. It demonstrated his passion, his interest, and his willingness to do whatever it took. So I think there's absolutely worthwhile.
I think, looking at that background, and just branding, one of the things that I do every morning is go to the Wall Street Journal, news, all these other things and clippings, and I look for articles or something of interest to one of our relationship customers to project with the brand. So I always say that if you're sitting in the stadium watching the game, eventually you'll get put on the field. So I would say if you interview with somebody that didn't have any opportunity, a few weeks later you might find a clipping that would be important to the person that you interviewed with and say, Mr. Smith, I saw this on your company. I thought you might be interested in seeing in case you did not. Brings your name back up. Remember, you want to be at the top of the search engine. You want to be up there all the time. You want to be present. You want to be popping up there all the time, i.e. networking, shaking hands. And this all just works together. You kind of need a unified program of doing it all.
Let me say that I'm very jealous of this generation of Sewanee students because we didn't have career services when I was in school. It was assumed that Conway was good, you came from a good family, you were going to get a good job, and a gentleman's city would be enough to do well in the world. It's no longer true. Sewanee has responded in a beautiful way. You have first-rate career services. Spread the word to others. I've worked as a volunteer with other universities, so I know that this is true. We're very grateful to the staff of career services. And we have time for one question. One more question.
Regarding the networking, once you've established a contact list and you've had a lot of informational interviews, how do you sustain those relationships?
Well, Merrill offered just a really good idea of, I think being persistent is important, but, having something to talk about is good too. So if there's something going on in their industry that you're interested in, say, hey, I saw this article, what do you think about this? Use it as a continued learning opportunity. I think if you've got a few contacts on your list that have been helpful to you, call them up and just, check it. They'll be interested. They're interested in helping you, so call them up, tell them what you've been up to, check back in with them on a regular basis. I think that's important. That's why the contact list is valuable, whether it's on a spreadsheet or on
High-rise.
and that you can refer back to those contacts and check back in with them, and often it's that third, fourth contact where you actually develop a real lead and not the first one.
Please join me in thanking our panelists.